Hi, in this video we are going to be talking about this book in 10 minutes. Let's go. What's up everyone? My name is Luke and this is a book review. Today we're reviewing Stephen King's The Stand. And in an effort to preserve your sanity, bare minimum your watch minutes, and my own time, I'm going to try to limit it to 10 minutes. So, let's start the clock now. Okay, The Stand originally came out in 1978. It was 800 something pages. It told the story of a plague that wipes out like 99.9% of Earth's population. The survivors have to go through the horror, grief, guilt of losing loved ones, being in cities surrounded by the dead, having roads clogged by cars with corpses. It's a pretty interesting story. But all of these survivors start having dreams and or nightmares. Some of them dream of an old woman and some of them dream of a dark man. And the old woman is saying, you should come to my house. And the dark man is saying, you should come to Las Vegas. We don't really see a ton of the dreams with the dark man in it, except for one time when it's very temptation-y, you know? The dark man basically tells the guy, hey, if you come to Las Vegas, I will give you everything you want, you know? And that sounds pretty suspicious. And the old woman is just, she's just the old woman. Everybody feels warm and comfortable and all this stuff. So people either go to Las Vegas or they go to the old woman. The old woman's camp eventually goes to Boulder, Colorado. So you have Boulder, Colorado and Las Vegas. And then these two sects of people are divided. And now it's like good versus evil. It's a big story. Real big. 800 and something pages. But then about a decade later, the publishing house says, I think that we can get people to rebuy this book. So they reached out to Stephen King and they said, hey, you know all the stuff that you cut? We would really like it if you put that stuff back in the book. And Stephen King said, yeah, sure. Okay. Some of the stuff stayed on the cutting room floor. Some of the stuff did not. Some of the stuff was put back into the book. Some of the stuff makes sense. There's a further developed relationship between a mother and a daughter, so you can get a real feel for that relationship. In other cases, not so great. The added stuff was not needed. And I think that it makes the book actually worse. But the pros outweigh the cons. But this makes the book 1,153 pages, at least according to this. That's a lot of book. This is Stephen King's longest book by any measure. Page count, word count, it's all the same. It's the biggest book. And it's also one of the most important books if you're going to read Stephen King books. There's a character in The Stand that keeps popping up in multiple books across multiple stories. It's just required reading, you know? And I don't know, it's a big book. And the fact that it's required reading is kind of intimidating to a lot of people. That doesn't mean that it's any less important when it comes to the mythos of the Stephen King world. It's really important, and I can't stress it enough. This is where you see Stephen King's antagonists. Like, there are always antagonists in Stephen King's book. Pennywise from It, Big Jim from Under the Dome, Annie Wilkes from Misery. Like, all of these people, they're all villains, yada, yada, yada. But this is the villain. I would argue more important than Pennywise. It's a good book. When the first time I read it, I was in high school, and it took me 5 days to read this book. This took me 5 days, but it was 5 whole days on the bus ride to school, through every single class, through lunch, to the bus ride back home, and then all night long. 5 days. And I was very proud of it. And it kind of gives me a suspicion that the reason that people say that The Stand is their favorite book or in their top 5 books, I think that they're just really proud that they read a book that's this big. I know I was. And, there's no shame to it. It's just like with age and, hopefully maturity, I've realized that the size of the book doesn't matter. You read because you like it. This time when I read it, it took significantly longer to get through, a little less than a month, and I had less of a good time with it. The plague part was very interesting. The good versus evil part, less interesting. But the stuff that was absolutely boring was also the stuff that's kind of required when you're talking about a book like this. When you're talking about a book that is apocalyptic and then post-apocalyptic, you have to talk about how you are going to rebuild society, what you want to keep from the old world, what you want to get rid of from the old world, and what you want to make, how you want to proceed. This is important stuff. This is foundational stuff when it comes to, building a new world, and you got to talk about it. But it's so friggin' boring, and the shame of it is that it lingers in this book. Lots of transcripts of committee meetings, lots of town halls where there are people nominating something and then having somebody else second that motion. It's boring the whole time. Can we please get back to whatever it is we're doing? If it's the plague, then we are long gone from it. If it's rebuilding society, then can we please focus on more exciting aspects of that? And if it's this good versus evil thing, if this is good versus evil, and you have an idea about that, because they all do, like they all think that the people on the other side are bad people, that they're coming for them, and they are kind of psyching themselves up for this battle. If that's what you're focusing on as a population, why do you care what the committee is going to do? Who heads the committee? Like, this doesn't matter. Why? And it's just too long. It's too long. There's just too much, I don't want to say politics, but there's too much politics. You know what I mean? And it drags the story down. The last thing I want to say about this, besides the fact that you should read it, is in all 3 editions that I've read, there are illustrations in the book. And in this one, the illustrations are very good. They've got a definite vibe to them. It's black and white. It's really intricate. It's really fun to look at. In the paperback versions that I have, it looked like the contrast was turned way up because some of the pictures are just black. And I'll throw up a comparison here, but it's not as fun to look at. So if you were thinking about buying The Stand, just go ahead and spring for the big one. Take a look inside the book before you buy it, if you go to a bookshop to get it, I mean. And verify that the illustrations look awesome, because these illustrations do look awesome. And I think that's it. I think that's it. What do we got? Ooh, 8 minutes and 16 seconds. I would say that's pretty good. I would say that 8 minutes and 16 seconds for this is really good. I also like this whole thing, this like 10-minute challenge. I could talk about Stephen King all day long. But you don't want that. And I think I don't want that. I think that at some point my family would miss me. Maybe. So, I think that in the future, whenever we do Stephen King reviews, I'm just going to try to limit it to 10 minutes, and we'll see how successful it is. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for taking your time and sticking through to the end of the video. If you like it, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. You know how it goes. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a great day. Goodbye.